Tonight, we journey back through the veil of centuries into an age where torchlight flickered against stone walls, where the night smelled of wood smoke and wet earth, and where survival itself was a daily test. Why you wouldn't last a day in medieval times is more than a story. It is a step into a world where every breath was hard-earned, every comfort was rare, and every dawn felt like a quiet victory. Imagine the chill of a drafty hall, the clang of iron, the slow rhythm of life shaped by nature, danger, and the unbreakable will of those who lived it. Tonight you'll take your first step into that world. But before we begin, if you're watching from the U.S., settling in after a long day, or from Europe, perhaps wrapped in a blanket as midnight approaches, or from Canada, listening as the cold evening deepens, or from anywhere else around the world, no matter the hour, let me know what time it is where you are watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, because your support helps this story reach more dreamers, more wanderers, more night travelers. Now take a deep breath, adjust your pillows, let the world around you soften and fade. Tonight we walk into the medieval past together, and when you're ready, your journey begins. The first thing you notice is the air. It is heavier than you expect, thick with the mingled scents of damp straw, wood smoke from distant hearth fires, and the faint sour smell of animals that live closer to humans here than you are used to. The morning light seeps through the cracks of a wooden shutter, thin beams cutting through drifting motes of dust that glow like suspended stars. Outside, a rooster crows, shrill, insistent, and it echoes through the narrow alleyways of a village just beginning to stir. You lie on a straw mattress stuffed into a wooden frame, the wiry fibers poking through the thin cloth and itching your skin. A coarse wool blanket rests over you, scratchy, heavy, and carrying the lingering scent of lanolin. The cold of the night has not yet left the room. It clings to your breath, making little clouds rise into the air. There is no hum of electricity, no soft vibration of modern life, only silence, broken by the murmur of voices and the creak of wagon wheels in the distance. Your body is stiff. The uneven bed has left your back aching. You sit up slowly, feeling the chill settle deeper into your bones. When your bare feet touch the floor, the cold wood bites sharply, waking you fully. This is no simulation. This is a different world, one where comfort is a luxury and survival begins the moment you open your eyes. The room around you is simple. Rough wooden beams, a single stool, a jug of water that is not quite clean, and a small window overlooking a muddy path. You hear someone outside calling to their oxen. A dog barks, a child laughs. Life is already moving, steady and unrelenting. You take a deep breath, letting the scents and sounds of medieval morning wash over you. It is beautiful in its rawness, untamed, unpolished, and utterly alive. Yet beneath that beauty is a quiet truth. You are far from home, far from the softness of your time, and you are about to learn why you would not last a single day in this age. Still, for now, you rise, you stretch, you step toward the shutter and open it just a little. Cool morning air rushes in, carrying with it the earthy scent of damp soil and distant hearth fires. Your journey has only just begun. You push open the wooden door of the small dwelling, and at once the world greets you with a breath of cold morning air, sharp, almost metallic, carrying the faint tang of smoke from breakfast fires beginning to crackle across the village. The ground beneath your feet is uneven and damp, a mixture of packed earth and patches of mud that cling stubbornly to your steps. Each footfall makes a soft, sucking sound, as though the land itself resists letting go. A thin mist hovers close to the ground, swirling around the shapes of villagers already at work. Their movements are slow but purposeful, bodies wrapped in coarse wool, hands reddened from the cold. You notice the simplicity of everything, the tools they carry, worn smooth by generations, the houses crooked and leaning slightly, the narrow paths where puddles reflect the pale sky like shards of broken glass. Somewhere nearby, a blacksmith's hammer begins its steady rhythm. Clang, 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 ringing across the village like a heartbeat. A flock of crows takes flight from a nearby rooftop, their wings beating the air in a flurry of sound, before they settle atop an old oak tree that looms over the village boundary. Even the birds seem sharper here, alert and wary. As you walk deeper into the village, the smells grow stronger. Smoke from peat and wood, the earthy scent of animals penned nearby, the sour tang of tanned hides from the leather worker's stall. Everything is closer, more immediate, more alive than anything you've known. There is no escaping it, no glass windows, no insulation, no humming refrigerator to drown out the world. Here, the world presses in on you from every side. A woman carrying a basket of turnips passes you. She gives you one quick glance, curious, assessing, and then moves on without a word. People here do not waste energy on idle conversation. Every gesture has weight, every task a purpose. A young boy runs past with a wooden pail, splashing cold water onto his own boots without seeming to care. He laughs, breath rising in white plumes, and disappears behind a row of huts. The sun climbs only a little above the horizon, pale and hesitant, filtering through thin layers of cloud. There is no warmth in it yet. You pull your borrowed cloak tighter around your shoulders, feeling the rough fabric scratch your skin. It offers only the slightest comfort. Then, as you round the bend near a communal well, you witness your first true jolt of medieval reality. Two men struggling to lift a heavy wooden beam for repairs. One slips on the mud, nearly crushed beneath the weight before the other braces it with a strained grunt. Their breath clouds the air, their muscles trembling. No machinery, no protective gear, just raw strength and the constant knowledge that a single misstep can mean the end. And you begin to understand slowly, deeply, why life here was not just harder, but fragile. Why comfort was a rarity. Why survival demanded more from the body and mind than most modern people could imagine. Yet there is a strange beauty to it all. The crisp air, the earthy colors, the soft clatter of life awakening. A world both harsh and enchanting. You stand there for a moment, letting the scene settle into you, feeling yourself becoming a small part of this ancient morning. Your stomach reminds you that it has been a long night, growling softly, twisting with a gentle ache that feels somehow sharper in this colder, harsher air. In your own time, breakfast is simple. Open a fridge, heat something quickly, choose from comfort and abundance. Here, however, breakfast is neither quick nor varied, and every bite is earned with effort. You follow the faint aroma of porridge drifting from a nearby cottage, its door propped open with a stone. Inside, a dim fire glows in the hearth, casting warm, flickering light across the small room. A woman stirs a pot with a long wooden spoon, the slow scrape of it against the iron cauldron echoing like a soft chant. Her expression is calm, practiced. This is a ritual she has performed every morning of her life. She gestures for you to sit without a word, and you take your place on a low stool near the hearth. The heat feels heavenly against your chilled skin, thawing your fingers and loosening the tightness in your shoulders. The fire pops softly, sending sparks upward into the dark chimney. The porridge is simple: oats boiled in water with a pinch of salt. No sugar, no fruit, no spices. When she hands you a wooden bowl, its warmth seeps into your palms. You lift the spoon, noticing how thick and slightly lumpy the mixture is. The first bite is bland but comforting, not a flavor to savor, but a warmth to welcome. Around you, the family begins to gather. A man with a weathered face and calloused hands sits beside a boy and girl, their cheeks flushed from the cold. No one rushes, no one scrolls through a phone. They eat quietly, filling their bodies for a day of labor that awaits them. And then reality settles deeper. This meal must last them through hours of physical work, plowing fields, tending animals, hauling water, mending tools. There are no snacks, no cafes, no break rooms. Food is fuel, sparse and precious. You glance around the room. The walls are lined with hanging herbs, dried bundles of thyme and rosemary, meant more for preservation than flavor. A loaf of coarse bread sits on a wooden board, dark and dense. Butter is rare and saved for special days. Meat is a luxury, perhaps a few times a week, if the family is fortunate. The woman notices your quiet curiosity and smiles faintly, a warm but tired expression. She cuts a thin slice of bread and places it beside your bowl. The crust is hard, the inside chewy, but it fills the hollow space inside you. Outside, you hear the village continuing to stir, the bray of a donkey, the rattle of a cart, a distant call echoing across the fields. The world here wakes with purpose. As you finish your simple breakfast, a peculiar sense of grounding washes over you. Everything is slower, more deliberate. There is no rush, but there is no rest either. Life moves like the steady turning of a mill wheel, constant, heavy, and essential. You set the empty bowl aside and stand, ready to step back into the chill of the morning. For the people here, the day has truly begun. When you step back outside, the morning has grown brighter, though not warmer. The mist has thinned into soft ribbons curling along the edges of the village, and the sun, still pale, still shy, casts a muted glow across the rooftops. You take a steady breath, expecting to walk freely into the day, but you're quickly stopped by a simple, unavoidable truth of medieval life. Water does not come to you. You must go to it. A young girl, no more than 10, walks past you carrying 2 wooden buckets suspended from a yoke balanced across her shoulders. The buckets slosh with each careful step, water spilling onto the dirt as she moves. Despite her size, she carries the load with practiced rhythm, her small body swaying in time with the shifting weight. Curious, and feeling the pull of daily necessity, you follow the faint path she takes toward the well at the far end of the village. As you approach, you hear the creak of rope winding around wood, the hollow echo of the bucket descending into darkness, then the splash as it meets the underground water. Several villagers wait their turn, each holding buckets, jars, or clay pitchers. They stand patiently. They have done this every day of their lives, sometimes twice, sometimes more. When your turn comes, you grip the wooden handle of the crank. It feels rough beneath your fingers, edges worn down, but still sturdy. As you turn it, the rope strains, and you feel the heavy pull of the bucket rising slowly from the depths. Your arms tremble, not from exhaustion yet, but from the unfamiliar effort. The villagers nearby glance your way, some with mild amusement. They know this world, you do not. The bucket emerges dripping with cold, clear water. When you attempt to lift it, the weight surprises you. Water is not light, not when carried by hand, not when every step must be balanced, cautious, steady. You try to carry it the way the girl did, but the uneven ground shifts beneath your feet. The bucket bumps your leg, sending a cold splash across your clothes. You steady yourself, gripping tighter. Halfway back to the cottage, your arms burn. The bucket knocks against your knee again. A small stream spills out, darkening the dirt beneath you. Every step feels like a negotiation between your strength, the shifting weight, and the terrain. Your back tightens, your fingers ache, and you realize that villagers carry not one bucket at a time, but usually two, one on each side, balanced perfectly to avoid injury. By the time you reach the cottage, your breathing has deepened, and your arms throb with a dull, persistent ache. You set the bucket down with a loud exhale. Even this simple task, is heavier than you expected. In your time, water travels through pipes, guided by invisible force, warm or cold at the turn of a handle. Here, it is effort, it is time, it is labor woven into every day. Inside the cottage, the woman nods in approval when she sees the water. It will be used for washing, cooking, cleaning, essential tasks that all depend on your morning struggle. As you catch your breath, you notice the girl you followed earlier pass by the window, two fresh buckets hanging from her yoke as if they weighed nothing at all. She has already gone back for more, and you realize just how different survival looks in this world. By mid-morning, the village has fully awakened. What was once quiet and mist-softened now pulses with a gentle, rhythmic energy, the collective heartbeat of people who rise with the sun and work until it fades. You step into the narrow main path, feeling the ground firmer beneath your feet as the mud begins to dry into uneven ridges shaped by countless footsteps and wagon wheels. The sounds are richer now, layered like the weaving of a tapestry. A dog barks sharply, chasing a chicken that flaps its wings in annoyed protest. A merchant arranges wooden bowls on a cloth-covered table, each bowl slightly uneven, shaped by hand. Somewhere deeper in the village, a baby cries, the sound drifting in and out like the wind. But it is the rhythm of work that stands out most. A pair of women kneel beside a trough, scrubbing heavy wool garments against wooden boards. Each stroke is firm, deliberate, and punctuated by the splash of cold water. Their chatter is soft but steady, a mixture of gossip, shared burdens, and small comforts exchanged through whispered words. Nearby, the village baker, his apron dusted in pale flour, opens the door to his stone oven. A wave of warm, yeasty air drifts out, carrying with it a smell so comforting you almost forget where you are. He uses a long wooden paddle to pull out round loaves with cracked golden crusts. Each loaf is precious. Bread is more than food here. It is survival. It is labor. It is a day's worth of strength captured in each bite. A group of children runs past, their laughter bright and unrestrained. They carry sticks, pretending they are swords, clashing them together in playful battle. Their feet kick up dust, and their shouts ricochet off the walls of nearby homes. Even in a world as hard as this, children find space for joy, for imagination, for moments untouched by the weight of adulthood. The blacksmith's forge is the loudest place in the village. You approach cautiously, drawn by the glow of fire. Inside, the blacksmith stands like a silhouette carved from stone, his muscles gleaming with sweat as he hammers a glowing piece of iron. Sparks fly with every strike, cascading around him like tiny, burning stars before disappearing into the dirt. The air is thick with heat and the metallic scent of molten iron. Each blow of his hammer is both violent and beautiful, shaping the very tools the village depends on. Yet beneath all this noise, all this motion, there is a deeper silence, an unspoken understanding shared by every villager. Life is fragile. Every tool must be mended. Every crop must grow. Every hand must contribute. There are no days off. There are no safety nets. The community survives because each person plays their part. As you stand among them, watching the morning chores unfold, a strange sense of humility settles over you. You are witnessing a world that demands resilience not as an option, but as necessity. A world where every movement, every decision, every breath feels purposeful. And still, despite the hardship, the village breathes with warmth, with humanity, with connection. The heartbeat continues, steady, timeless, enduring. As the sun inches higher, the light grows stronger, still gentle, still filtered through thin clouds, but enough to warm the tops of the thatched roofs and cast long, slanted shadows across the village paths. A quiet expectation begins to settle over the morning. It is time for real work to begin. A villager waves you over, a broad-shouldered man with hands like knotty tree roots. His face is weathered, lined by years of wind, sun, and toil. Without much explanation, he hands you a wooden tool, a simple hoe with a heavy iron blade. It feels awkward in your hands, heavier than you imagined. His nod tells you all you need to know. You follow him to a small plot of farmland just beyond the village. The soil there is dark, rich, and uneven, still damp from last night's dew. The air carries the deep, earthy scent of freshly turned earth, and somewhere nearby a lark sings a trembling melody above the fields. The man begins to work immediately. His movements are slow but efficient, lifting the hoe, striking the soil, breaking apart clumps, creating neat rows. His breathing is steady, his pace unbroken. You mimic him, gripping the handle and lifting the tool. The first strike sinks only halfway, the blade catching awkwardly in the soil. The jolt travels up your arm, surprising you. You try again, another thud, another shock of resistance. Your shoulders tense, your hands redden. Your breath grows uneven far sooner than you expect. He pauses, watches you, then demonstrates again with calm patience. He shows you the rhythm. Lift, swing, pull, breathe. Lift, swing, pull, breathe. You do your best to follow. For the first few minutes, you manage a steady pace, but the work quickly becomes overwhelming. The weight of the hoe bears down on your wrists. The repetitive motion strains your back. Sweat begins to form at your temples, despite the cool air. Somewhere in the distance, you hear the faint crack of a cartwheel, the soft rustle of wind pushing through the wheat, the distant chatter of villagers tending to their own labor. Everyone is working. Everyone is contributing. There is no one here who escapes the weight of the day. After what feels like an hour, but is barely 15 minutes, you straighten up, breathless. Your muscles tremble with fatigue. The rows you've made are uneven, crooked, nothing like the neat lines the man has carved with ease. He gives a small smile, not mocking, but kind, the sort of understanding look given by someone who has lived this life so long that he has forgotten how impossible it feels at first. He takes the hoe from your hands and shows you another technique, loosening the soil in smaller motions, using leverage rather than brute force. The lesson continues, slow and patient. You find a rhythm, not perfect, not smooth, but enough. The scent of earth grows richer as the field is worked, and soon you feel a strange peace settle over you. The repetition becomes meditative, the steady movement grounding your mind in a way that modern life rarely allows. But still, your body aches. Every swing reminds you that medieval labor was unforgiving, relentless, and constant. There is no machinery here, no easy shortcuts, only hands, tools, and time. When the man finally signals that it's enough, you lower the hoe with a deep exhale. Your muscles throb, your palms burn, and your breath comes in slow, heavy waves. He pats your shoulder in quiet approval before returning to his work. As you walk back toward the village, the field stretching out behind you like a patchwork quilt of earthy colors, you feel both humbled and strangely connected to the land beneath your feet. Labor here is not just survival, it is life itself. By the time you return to the village, the sun has climbed higher, though its warmth remains soft and hesitant. Your aching muscles remind you of every motion in the field, each step tugging at tired shoulders and stiffened legs. Yet the day offers no pause, no gentle easing into rest. Medieval life moves in one long, unbroken current, and you are swept along with it. A young man, lean, alert, with a cloak the color of moss, waves you over. On his shoulder rests a bundle of rope, and at his side hangs a small hatchet worn smooth from years of use. He speaks quietly, but his gesture is clear. He is heading toward the forest, and you are to follow. The village gradually fades behind you as the path narrows and gives way to the edge of the woods. Trees rise tall and straight, their branches interlacing overhead like woven fingers. The air grows cooler beneath their canopy, shadows dancing across the forest floor. The earthy scent of moss, bark, and decaying leaves fills your lungs, grounding and ancient. This forest is no leisurely walking trail, no curated marked path. It is alive, unpredictable, and in medieval times feared as much as it is relied upon. Wolves, boars, even bandits might linger here, but so too does firewood, game, berries, herbs, and the raw materials that keep the village breathing. Your guide moves with practiced steps, avoiding patches of thorns and slippery roots. You try your best to mirror him, though branches seem to grab at your clothes and unseen twigs snap loudly beneath your feet. Birds flutter above, their calls echoing in layered tones. Somewhere deeper in the forest, a stick breaks with a sharp crack, too heavy a sound for a bird. Your heart quickens. The young man glances toward the sound, listens for a moment, then continues. His calm steadies you. You reach a fallen tree, its trunk thick and softened by rot. This is your task, collecting usable wood before the rest is reclaimed by the forest. Your guide hands you a hatchet. It feels shockingly small for the size of the work before you. He demonstrates, raising the hatchet, striking at a portion of the fallen trunk where the wood is still firm. The sound is deep, muted, the forest swallowing each impact. When he passes the tool to you, you mimic his stance and swing. The hatchet bites into the bark with far less force than you intended, barely scratching the surface. Your second attempt is better, though the shock of the impact stings your arms. The forest, quiet and watchful, seems to judge every awkward motion. Your guide does not laugh. Instead, he shows you where to aim, how to let the weight of the hatchet do the work, how to find the natural fracture lines within the wood. Slowly, very slowly, you begin to chip away, collecting small logs, then larger pieces. Your breath fogs in the cool air. Sweat gathers at the base of your neck despite the chill. Time passes differently here. There is no clock, no vibration from a phone, no artificial sense of urgency. Only the forest, the work, the rhythm of your breathing, and the quiet partnership of two people gathering what the village needs to survive. When your bundle of firewood is finally tied with rope, your arms feel like lead. Lifting the bundle onto your back is a struggle, far heavier than you guessed, but your guide lifts his own with ease, adjusting the strap across his chest. As you begin the walk back, the forest seems to shift behind you, reclaiming the silence, swallowing the traces of your presence. The moment you step out into the open path, sunlight washes over you again. Warmer now, but still soft, like a gentle welcome home. Carrying the wood, every step weighted and deliberate, you understand the quiet truth that medieval life is built on small, endless labors. Each task, fetching water, working fields, chopping wood, is simple, but the sum of them forms a life of constant motion. And somehow, despite the fatigue settling deep in your bones, there is a strange peace in it all. By the time you return to the village, the sun has climbed to its highest point, bathing the rooftops in a warmer, more generous glow. Your shoulders ache from the weight of the firewood, the rope biting into your skin with each step. When you finally lower the bundle in the center of the village square, the relief is immediate. A soft exhale, a loosening of muscles, a moment of stillness your body desperately needed. Midday in the village is a gentle pause, not quite rest, but a softening of the relentless pace. People begin to gather outside their homes, their movements slower now, their conversations quieter. Children, exhausted from morning play, sit in lazy clusters near the well, nibbling on bits of bread or sharing small pieces of fruit. You follow the scent of simmering broth drifting from a nearby cottage, the same home where you ate breakfast. The door is open again, inviting in the midday light. Inside, the hearth glows steadily, its flames no longer fierce, but warm and comforting, like a slow heartbeat. The woman ladles a thin vegetable stew into wooden bowls. It's a simple mixture of leeks, carrots, onions, and whatever greens survived the morning's frost. The broth is fragrant, though light, more water than substance, but still nourishing. She hands you a bowl with a gentle nod, her eyes soft with recognition. You sit at the same low stool as before, the warmth from the bowl seeping into your hands. The first sip is soothing. The broth is savory and earthy, carrying the taste of the very soil you worked earlier in the day. You chew slowly, noticing how your body responds with gratitude, welcoming even the mildest flavors. Hunger here is different. It humbles you, it sharpens your senses, and teaches you to appreciate even the simplest food. Around you, the family eats quietly. The man from the fields wipes sweat from his brow with the back of his hand. The young boy slurps noisy spoonfuls, earning a soft laugh from his sister. These moments, small, ordinary, are the closest thing to comfort medieval life offers. A warm fire, a shared meal, the gentle lull between labors. After the meal, the woman offers you a piece of coarse bread. You break it with both hands, its crust resisting before giving way. Dipping it into the last of the broth, you savor each bite slowly, feeling the energy return to your tired limbs. When the bowls are emptied and stacked, the family rests for a moment. Not long, but enough to catch their breath. The man leans back, stretching his stiff shoulders. The woman presses her palms against her lower back, easing the ache. Even the children sit in rare stillness, their eyes half-lidded with fatigue. This is the closest the day comes to gentleness. A quiet mercy carved into the hours of unending work. Outside, the village remains calm. A few villagers sit beneath the shade of an old oak tree, passing a single jug of water between them. A shepherd guides his flock through the narrow street, the soft bleating of sheep blending with the rustle of wool against fencing. The world seems to breathe more slowly now, as if savoring the brief respite. You step outside again, letting the breeze cool the heat that has gathered at your temples. The warmth of the stew lingers in your chest, a small comfort in a world without luxuries. But even as you enjoy this moment of peace, you sense the shift coming, the afternoon hours calling, the next tasks waiting. Medieval life allows no long rest. It simply grants you enough strength to continue. You take a deep breath, preparing yourself for whatever comes next. Once your strength begins to return, you're drawn toward the soft hum of activity drifting from the center of the village. Though small, the market lane is the busiest part of the settlement, a narrow stretch of packed dirt lined with wooden stalls and wool-covered tables. Here, barter and trade shape the pulse of afternoon life. As you step into the lane, you're greeted by an array of scents far richer than anything you've encountered so far. Freshly baked bread mingling with dried herbs, smoked fish laid neatly in rows, and the faint sweetness of beeswax candles stacked in bundles. Each stall offers something essential, something handmade, something tied directly to the land or the hands of the villagers. A woman selling vegetables calls out softly as you pass. Her table is filled with turnips, onions, wrinkled apples, and bundles of greens tied with rough twine. The vegetables may not be uniform in size or color, but they are real, grown in the very soil that stained your hands earlier. She lifts a turnip for inspection, brushing away a bit of dirt with her thumb. Here, perfection is not expected. Freshness is measured in scent and firmness, not in glossy appearance. At the next stall, a fisherman displays his morning catch. The fish lie on a bed of crushed ice, rare and precious, gleaming in the soft daylight. Their scales shimmer like tiny mirrors. The fisherman's face is weathered from salt and wind, his eyes squinting as he ties another net, always repairing, always preparing for the next dawn's journey. Further down the lane, a potter shapes a small clay bowl on a spinning wheel powered by his foot. The motion is rhythmic, hypnotic. His hands move with skill and patience, coaxing the clay into form. The bowl rises from the spinning mound like a slow-growing flower. The potter doesn't look up as you watch. His focus is absolute. One moment of distraction can ruin everything. You continue walking, absorbing each detail. Children darting between stalls, their pockets full of pebbles and scraps. A man bargaining over a length of wool cloth, feeling its thickness with rough fingers. The low murmur of voices blending with the occasional bleat of a goat tied nearby. A small group gathered around a traveling peddler who opens a wooden case filled with trinkets, polished stones, simple rings, and tiny metal charms. To the villagers, these small luxuries are wonders. At the end of the lane sits the most respected figure of the marketplace, the herbalist. Her stall is a tapestry of colors and textures, bundles of lavender, sprigs of rosemary, jars filled with strange roots suspended in liquid. She wears a cloak stitched with fading patterns, and her hands are stained green from crushed leaves. She studies you with a curious gaze, one eyebrow raised, as if she sees something in you that others do not. She reaches for a small pouch and places it gently into your palm. The scent of dried chamomile drifts from it, calming and sweet. She doesn't speak, but her meaning is clear. Rest will be as important as labor if you are to survive even a single day here. You thank her quietly and continue walking. As you leave the market lane, you glance back at the bustling heart of the village. Nothing here is driven by excess. There are no flashy signs, no loud advertisements, no surplus. Everything has purpose. Everything is made, gathered, or grown by hand. The simplicity is striking, but so is the fragility. One failed harvest, one harsh winter, one sickness could topple this delicate balance. And yet, despite the hardship woven into every transaction, there is warmth in the exchanges, a sense of community that binds everyone together. This lane is not just a marketplace. It is the lifeline of the village. You breathe in deeply, letting the earthy, herbal, smoky scents linger in your chest before continuing on. As the afternoon stretches onward, the village's gentle rhythm softens into something quieter, more introspective. The sky above carries a muted glow, the sun beginning its slow descent, though still high enough to cast long shadows across the square. But with the shift in the day comes a new awareness, a subtle tension beneath the calm surface of medieval life. You begin to notice it in the way villagers glance toward the forest edge, in how they listen for distant sounds, in how their hands pause, just briefly, over their work whenever something unexpected rustles through the fields. Danger here is not dramatic. It is not a single moment of chaos. It is a constant presence, woven into every hour of every day. It is survival, balanced on a knife's edge. A shepherd approaches the village, his flock shuffling close behind him. His face is tight, his movements clipped. He speaks quickly to a group of men, gesturing toward the southern ridge. You can't hear the words, but the worry on his face speaks loudly enough. A wolf sighting, perhaps, or signs of a boar. Either one is enough to disrupt the delicate peace of the afternoon. Near the well, two women speak in hushed tones. One clutches a bundle of herbs to her chest, medicinal plants meant to soothe fever or treat wounds. The herbalist stands with them, her brow furrowed as she mixes something in a small clay bowl. Her stall is busier now than it was earlier in the day. Illness spreads easily here, carried by cold winds, by tainted water, by the very closeness of village life. Even a small cough can ripple through families like a quiet storm. You walk further, noticing a young boy limping through the lane. His ankle is wrapped in cloth, stiff and swollen. In your world, such an injury might mean a short visit to a clinic, a few days' rest. Here, without proper treatment, it could complicate into something far more dangerous. Infection, fever, worse. The awareness settles over you like a shadow. In medieval times, danger is not something that arrives dramatically. It simply exists, always, quietly, waiting. As you continue walking, an older man motions for you to follow him behind the blacksmith's forge. There, hanging from a wooden frame, is a row of tools, sickles, hammers, knives, each one essential, each one dangerous in careless hands. He lifts a knife and shows you the blade, simple, practical, sharp enough to cut rope, cloth, or food. But he also shows you the nicks along his fingers, small scars, thin and pale, evidence of slips made in tired moments, injuries that add up over a lifetime. Then he gestures toward the forge itself. Sparks shower outward as the blacksmith strikes glowing metal, the air thick with heat and risk. A single spark landing in the wrong place could ignite a thatched roof. A single crack in the furnace could cause catastrophic failure, and yet the forge is essential. The village depends on it. As the man leads you back into the main square, you realize that the people here live with danger the same way they live with the changing seasons, accepting it, respecting it, adapting to it. They do not fear it loudly, they simply know it is there. It is in the animals, in the weather, in sickness, in tools, in travel, in the very act of living. And yet, despite it all, the village continues its gentle hum. its daily rituals. People laugh, children play, meals simmer, fires crackle. Life goes on, fragile but determined. You take a deep breath, feeling the weight of this unspoken truth settle into your chest. Medieval life is beautiful in its simplicity, but also perilous in every quiet corner. And still, dusk is coming, and with it, new challenges. As the afternoon deepens, a soft golden haze settles over the village, warming the edges of rooftops and casting gentle beams across the fields. Shadows stretch longer, the hum of daily work grows quieter, but there is still more to be done, always more. A woman approaches you, her expression calm but purposeful. She carries 2 empty sacks over her shoulder, woven from coarse, sturdy fibers. With a tilt of her head, she beckons you to follow. The grain mill lies beyond the village, she explains, and someone must make the long walk to collect flour for the coming days. Today, that someone is you. You accept the sacks, the rough fabric brushing your hands. They are lighter than the bundles of wood you carried earlier, but their purpose feels heavier, more essential. Without flour, there is no bread. Without bread, there is no strength to face the days ahead. You walk with her along a narrow path that winds through the fields. Wheat sways gently in the breeze, shimmering like golden threads woven across the earth. The air smells of sun-warmed grass and drying grain, a scent both calming and ancient. Birds flit between stalks, their wings stirring tiny clouds of dust. The mill stands at the far end of the field, a tall, weathered structure made of stone and timber. Its blades turn slowly in the breeze, groaning softly with each steady rotation. The rhythmic creaking blends with the whisper of the wind, forming a lullaby of labor. Inside, the mill is dim and cool. Dust hangs in the air like faint mist, catching the light in soft, glowing flecks. The grinding stones turn with deep, rumbling weight. Grain pours from a wooden chute, spilling into bins where it is gathered and sifted by hand. The miller is a stout man with flour dusting his hair, eyebrows, and even his beard, giving him an almost ghostly appearance. He greets the woman warmly, then glances at you with a knowing smile. He places your sacks beneath a chute. The grain flows in slowly, each kernel settling with a soft patter. When the sacks are full, you lift one and immediately feel its weight. You adjust your stance, tighten your grip, and brace your shoulders. The load is heavy, far more than you anticipated, pressing into your palms and sending a tremor down your arms. The miller pats your shoulder with sympathy. It gets lighter, his eyes seem to say, though the sack itself clearly does not. You begin the long walk back. Each step is deliberate. The weight shifts, pulling you forward, testing your balance. Your back burns, your fingers ache, but the path stretches on, and you force yourself to keep moving. The woman walks beside you, calm and steady. She carries her own sack, perfectly balanced against her hip. Her breathing barely changes, though she glances over occasionally to make sure you haven't fallen behind. Birdsong fades into background music. Time blurs. The sun begins to sink lower, dipping into the warm amber tones of late afternoon. The fields glow around you, soft and serene, a beautiful contrast to the strain in your muscles. By the time the village comes into view again, your body feels hollowed out, drained. Yet, there is a deep sense of accomplishment in the ache. You carried something essential. You kept the rhythm of the village alive. 2 children run toward you, laughing as they tug at the sacks, helping to lighten the burden for the last few steps. Their small hands make little difference in weight, but their effort warms you more than the fading sunlight. When you finally set the sacks down inside the cottage where the woman works, she gives you a rare smile, a real one, soft, tired, grateful. Without flour, there is no bread. Without bread, the village weakens. Today, because of you, tomorrow's bread will rise. Your muscles throb, but a quiet pride settles within you. The day, however, is far from over. The sun sinks lower still, and the shadows grow bolder. As the sun drifts lower, the sky softens into a wash of amber and rose. Long shadows stretch across the village, touching doorways, creeping over the fields and settling like gentle fingers along the worn paths. The air cools, carrying the scent of herbs, smoke, and the distant rustle of animals returning to their pens. It's in this golden stillness that the village healer calls for you. She stands beside her modest wooden hut at the far end of the settlement, where the light seems to gather more softly, as though lingering in respect. Her cloak is deep green, embroidered with symbols you don't recognize, patterns of leaves, spirals, and small stitched stars. Her eyes are steady, ancient, and knowing, as if she carries not just knowledge, but centuries of stories. With a calm gesture, she invites you inside. The moment you cross the threshold, the world changes. The air is different here, warmer, thicker, filled with the mingled scents of lavender, sage, rosemary, peppermint, and dried flowers you can't name. Bundles of herbs hang from the ceiling, their leaves crisp and whispering when the wind slips through the shutters. Jars line the shelves, each filled with powders, roots, seeds, or strange liquids that catch the fading light. It feels like stepping into a small sanctuary, a place where the harshness of medieval life softens into healing breath. The healer motions to a low stool near the hearth. You sit, grateful for the warmth, and she begins to assess you with practiced eyes, studying your posture, your hands, the way you hold your shoulders after a long day's labor. She reaches for your palms first. Your skin is reddened, tender from gripping tools and carrying loads. She brushes a finger across the sore spots, then turns to a shelf and selects a clay jar sealed with wax. When she opens it, a sweet, resinous aroma fills the air, honey mixed with ground herbs. She dips her fingers into the mixture and gently massages it onto your palms. The salve is warm, smooth, soothing. It sinks into your skin like a quiet exhale, easing the ache almost immediately. You hadn't realized how tightly you'd been holding tension in your hands until the warmth begins to melt it away. Next, she offers you a cup of steaming herbal tea. The liquid is pale green, fragrant with mint and something floral, something grounding. You sip it slowly. The warmth spreads through your chest, calming your breath, easing the fatigue that has settled deep into your bones. The healer watches you with soft approval, then begins to speak, not loudly, but with the calm cadence of someone who knows the power of rhythm and silence. She tells you that in this village, health is not guaranteed. Injuries come easily. Infection is feared. Even a simple wound can become something dangerous. Herbs are their shield. Knowledge is their weapon. Rest is their sacred ritual. She places a small cloth pouch in your hand, light, fragrant, filled with dried chamomile and crushed mint. A gift, she says, for sleep, for peace. Then she shows you her tools, a mortar worn smooth from years of grinding healing mixtures, a small iron blade used to cut herbs, strips of linen for wrapping wounds, jars of salves made from beeswax and wild plants. Each item is humble, but each is essential. In a world without hospitals, without antibiotics, without modern medicine, this little room is the village's beating heart of care. She gestures toward a wooden board on the wall, covered in carvings, moon phases, plant silhouettes, marks that track the changing seasons. Healing, she explains, is part knowledge and part patience, part skill and part intuition. In this era, you heal not just the body, but the spirit weighed down by work, strain, and fear. Finally, she takes your wrist gently, checking your pulse. Her fingers are cool, steady. When she releases your hand, she nods in quiet reassurance. You will survive the day, her eyes say, but each day asks more of you. And each night, you must return something to yourself. You thank her softly and step outside. Dusk has deepened. The sky glows in the soft blue-gray of twilight, and the first stars appear like tiny lanterns scattered across a darkening canvas. The healer's door closes behind you with a quiet thud, leaving you with the lingering scent of herbs clinging to your clothes and the warmth of healing resting in your palms. The village prepares for evening. Fires crackle. Voices soften. The world slows once more. But for you, the night is just beginning. Twilight settles gently over the village, washing everything in a muted blue glow. The warmth of the day has slipped away, replaced by a crisp coolness that stirs the grass and makes the rooftops whisper. Smoke begins to rise in thin trails from the chimneys, curling upward like soft ribbons into the darkening sky. The quiet chorus of evening has begun. But even as the world prepares to rest, the villagers cannot, not yet. The evening chores wait as faithfully as the sunrise. A man calls your name, his voice low, steady, carrying the weight of routine. He leads you toward the animal pens near the outskirts of the village, where the scent of hay and the earthy musk of livestock grows stronger. The animals have returned from grazing, their silhouettes shifting in the dim light. Sheep huddled together, their woolly coats catching the last hints of dusk. A pair of cows graze softly, their tails flicking lazily. Chickens rustle in their coop, settling onto perches for the night. Your task is simple in theory. Gather feed, refill the water troughs, and ensure the animals are safe within their enclosures. But, as with everything else in medieval life, simplicity hides effort. You begin with the hay. The bundle is heavier than it appears, dense, scratchy, shedding bits of straw that stick to your clothes and hair. You lift it awkwardly, attempting to imitate the smooth, practiced movements of the villagers. They hoist hay with a rhythm born from years of familiarity, their bodies moving in efficient arcs. Your own movements are clumsy, but you manage, spreading the hay into the troughs as the animals shuffle closer. The sound of their breathing fills the space, slow, deep, comforting in its own strange way. Next, the water. The trough is nearly empty, its wooden sides damp and cold. You take up the bucket, walk to the well, and draw water again, your arms protesting with every crank and lift. The weight of the full bucket strains your muscles, and the uneven ground makes every step a test of balance. Water sloshes over the rim, splashing onto your boots, but you press on. When you finally fill the trough, a soft peace settles over the animals. They drink with gentle urgency, their ears flicking contentedly. A young boy joins you then, no more than 8, yet already steady in his tasks. He gathers scattered eggs from a nest, placing them carefully into a woven basket. His hands are small, but sure. He glances up at you with a shy smile, as if sharing a secret truth. Chores are simply part of life, a rhythm learned early, carried forever. Together, you secure the pens. The wooden latches click into place, the animals sigh and shift, settling into the quiet comfort of night. But the chores are not done. You follow the man back to the village square where he hands you a stack of firewood, the very bundle you helped gather earlier. It's time to distribute it to the homes that need it most. You carry the logs door to door, leaving small piles beside thresholds. Mothers thank you softly. Elders nod with gentle appreciation. These small gestures warm you more than the logs themselves. As you move through the village, you notice how the light has changed. The golden glow of hearth fires spills from windows, flickering across the paths. Shadows dance on walls, stretching long and thin. Voices murmur inside cottages, blending with the crackle of flames and the occasional burst of laughter shared over evening meals. A softness settles across the village, a sense of safety earned through effort, not granted by luxury. By the time you return to the square, the sky is deep blue, almost black, with stars scattered like tiny droplets of silver. The moon hangs low, full and luminous, casting a quiet sheen over the rooftops. Your body aches from the day's labor, arms heavy, back tight, feet sore, but something within you feels steadier, grounded. You've placed your hands on the pulse of medieval life, and it beats through you now with a slow, enduring strength. The man pats your shoulder, a gesture of approval, of inclusion. For tonight you have done your share. The village is ready to rest. And soon you will be too. Night settles fully over the village now, embracing it in a deep, velvety darkness. Only the moon and the scattered lanterns offer their gentle glow, illuminating the worn paths in soft pools of amber. The world hums with a slower rhythm, footsteps quieter, voices lower, movement softened as the day draws to a close. You're invited once more into the cottage where you shared breakfast and lunch. Its wooden door opens to release a wave of warmth, carrying with it the comforting aroma of simmering stew, fire-kissed bread, and herbs crushed beneath the healer's knowing hands earlier in the day. Inside, the hearth crackles with lively flames, shadows dancing across the walls like sleepy spirits. The room feels smaller now, cozier, its corners softened by the flicker of firelight. The family has gathered, their faces flushed with heat, their expressions relaxed in a way you haven't seen all day. Evening is their brief sanctuary. The woman ladles stew into bowls, thicker than at midday, richer with chopped greens, lentils, and a precious hint of meat, saved for the night meal when strength must be restored. The scent is earthy and inviting. The wooden bowl warms your palms as you accept it. You sit among them once again. The first spoonful is a revelation, comfort distilled into warmth. The stew is simple, but after a day of labor, it tastes extraordinary, each bite grounding you deeper into the moment. The bread is coarse but warm from the hearthstones, the crust firm, the inside soft enough to soak up the broth. Around you, conversation flows in gentle currents. The man recounts a mishap in the field, a stubborn ox refusing to move until bribed with a bundle of clover. The children laugh, their earlier weariness replaced by evening's second wind. The woman tells a small story of her childhood, of nights spent weaving under candlelight, while her mother sang quiet songs. Their voices blend with the crackle of the fire, forming a soothing tapestry of warmth and belonging. Even without understanding every word, you feel the meaning beneath them: endurance, togetherness, gratitude for the food before them and the roof above. This meal is not just nourishment, it is closure for the day. After supper comes a quiet ritual. The family bows their heads for a moment of thanks, not formal, not forced, simply a shared breath of appreciation for making it through another day in a world where each sunrise is earned. The woman collects the bowls. The children yawn, their small bodies swaying with fatigue. The man tends to the fire, adding another log, ensuring its warmth lasts through the cold night. You help where you can, stacking bowls, sweeping a few stray crumbs from the table, offering small gestures of gratitude. They smile at your effort, accepting you into the gentle rhythm of their evening. When the chores are done, the family settles around the hearth again. The children curl up beneath wool blankets. The adults lean back in their wooden chairs, letting the firelight wash over their tired faces. You sit quietly absorbing the scene. The fire's glow reflects off the clay jars on the shelves. The shadows sway in soft, hypnotic patterns. The warmth in your chest deepens, spreading through your limbs. After the relentless pace of the day, the stillness feels almost sacred. If morning is the world's breath of awakening, and afternoon is its heartbeat of labor, then evening is the sigh of relief, the gentle letting go. Outside, the night deepens, stars brightening with each passing moment. Inside, the world slows to a peaceful murmur. The day's burdens slip from your shoulders, and for the first time since arriving, you begin to feel the quiet pull of rest. The fire has burned low now, settling into a bed of steady orange embers that pulse softly like a heartbeat at rest. The room is dimmer, quieter. Only the faint crackle of wood and the soft breathing of the children wrapped in blankets fill the space. Outside, the night deepens into a serene stillness, broken only by the distant hoot of an owl. This is the hour when work fades and stories rise. The man leans back in his chair, the firelight tracing gentle lines across his face. He glances at you with a knowing look. This is a tradition older than memory, older than the village itself. The sharing of tales is as essential to medieval life as bread or water. It binds generations, comforts weary spirits, and turns hardship into something almost magical. He begins with a low voice, steady and warm. It's a tale of the old forest spirits, guardians said to wander the woods beyond the fields. According to legend, they appear on nights when the wind sings through the branches, glowing faintly like pale lanterns drifting between the trees. They protect those who respect the land and punish those who take more than they need. As he speaks, the fire pops softly, sending sparks drifting upward like tiny stars trying to return to the sky. The children stir beneath their blankets, half asleep, but listening with the instinctive awareness all children have for stories whispered in quiet rooms. The woman smiles faintly, her eyes reflecting a familiarity with every twist and turn of the tale. She has likely heard this story since her own childhood, a thread passed down like an heirloom. The man's voice shifts, deepening as he speaks of a season long ago when winter arrived too soon. Snow buried the fields, game grew scarce, and frost crept into every home. Villagers feared they would not survive. But one night, a pale figure appeared on the forest edge, holding a lantern that glowed like the heart of a flame. Some say it was a spirit, others say it was simply a wanderer with uncanny timing. But whoever, or whatever it was, they guided the villagers to a hidden grove where winter berries still grew, red and bright against the cold. The villagers survived, and ever since they leave offerings of bread and herbs at the forest border before the first snowfall. As he finishes the story, the room feels warmer somehow, as though the tale itself has rekindled the fire. Then it's the woman's turn. Her voice is softer, lighter, weaving a different kind of magic. Her tale speaks of the stars, how each one is said to hold the memory of someone long gone, shining so that the living never walk in darkness alone. She tells of travelers guided home by constellations, of lost souls finding peace when a star flickers brightly overhead. The children sigh in their sleep. The embers glow. The night quiets around you like a comforting embrace. Now, the villagers look to you, curious, inviting. They don't expect you to tell a story, but they leave a moment of silence open, a gentle space where your voice could rest if you choose. Even if you say nothing, your presence is part of this ritual now. The hush that follows is peaceful, almost sacred. The lines between strangers and family blur in the warmth of shared imagination. Outside, the wind shifts, brushing lightly against the shutters. The fire dims further, shadows deepening as the embers settle into a soft crimson pulse. In this moment, you understand something profound. Medieval life is harsh, but the stories, these small glowing threads of wonder, are what soften its edges. They offer hope where none seems to exist. They bind hearts together when days are long and nights are cold. They carry the wisdom of ancestors and the dreams of children. You feel yourself sinking deeper into the quiet magic of the evening, your eyelids heavy, your thoughts drifting like slow-moving clouds. The day has softened, the night has opened its palms, and rest draws closer. The embers in the hearth glow faintly behind you as you step back into the cool night air. The cottage door closes softly, leaving the family to their well-earned rest. But not everyone in the village sleeps when darkness settles. Some must stay awake, quiet sentinels watching over a world where danger moves more freely after dusk. Tonight, you join them. A villager stands near the edge of the square, wrapped in a heavy cloak, his breath rising in pale clouds. In his hand is a lantern with a flickering candle inside, casting a trembling halo of gold across the ground. When he sees you approach, he nods, not with enthusiasm, but with the tired acknowledgement of someone who has seen many nights like this one. He hands you a walking stick, smooth from long use. Its weight is modest but comforting. A tool for balance, for support, and for protection if needed. Or the two of you begin your slow patrol through the village. The night is quieter than you imagined. Every sound is sharper, distinct. The soft rustle of straw, the low murmur of animals settling in their pens, the distant creak of a shutter shifting in the breeze. The sky above is a brilliant tapestry of stars, brighter than any you've seen in modern times. With no lanterns, no electricity, no glow of distant cities, the heavens unfurl in breathtaking clarity. The path beneath your feet is uneven, still holding the day's prints, hoof marks, footprints, grooves carved by wooden wheels. The lantern light reveals only a small circle around you, the rest swallowed by darkness. Your companion walks with practiced ease. He listens more than he speaks. Every few steps he pauses, tilting his head slightly, as though tuning into some distant rhythm you cannot yet hear. He explains softly that nighttime is when wolves roam closest to the village, boars too, and sometimes strangers, travelers passing through, or others with intentions not so innocent. Fires must be checked, doors secured, and the livestock watched carefully. A single lapse can lead to disaster. A spark can become a blaze. A loose latch can invite predators. A shadow can mask danger. You arrive at the livestock pen where the animals lie huddled together in the straw. Their warmth forms a small cloud of mist above them. The sheep stir at your approach, some grumbling softly. The cow lifts her head, blinking slowly before settling again. You check each gate, each lock, pushing gently to ensure nothing will shift open in the night breeze. Then you move on. The village feels different now, more fragile, more exposed. Without the noise and bustle of the day, you sense how vulnerable everything is. Every house, every fence, every human life depends on simple barriers against the vast darkness pressing in from the forest beyond. Your companion stops suddenly. In the distance, from beyond the ridge, a faint howl drifts through the night. It's not loud, not close, but unmistakable. A wolf. The sound travels across the fields like a ribbon of warning. You feel it settle into your chest, ancient and primal. Your companion listens, waits, then exhales through his nose, a calm breath, though not a relaxed one. Far enough, he murmurs, continuing your patrol. Still, the awareness lingers. You scan the shadows with newfound caution. Every rustle of leaves sharpens your senses. Every distant sound feels magnified. You check the forge next. Its fire has been banked into glowing coals. You make sure the door is secured, that no stray ember can escape. Fires are the greatest gift of medieval life and its greatest threat. A single spark can undo years of labor. As you continue down the lane, the wind shifts. Colder now, brushing through your cloak like invisible fingers. The lantern flame flickers wildly, then steadies. You draw your cloak tighter, breath clouding before you. Your companion glances at you and offers a rare, faint smile. The night watch is never easy for newcomers. Yet, as you walk, something unexpected settles into you, a sense of duty, a quiet strength. The understanding that in this world protection is not just the work of the powerful, but the responsibility of all. Night is a shared weight, carried by those willing to stand awake while others sleep. Near the final stretch of the village, a lone cottage still glows with lamplight. An elderly woman sits by her window, knitting slowly. When she sees the lantern pass, she nods with gentle gratitude. The reassurance of the night watch lets her sleep peacefully when she finally sets down her needles. By the time your patrol ends, your feet are numb from the cold, and your hands tremble slightly from holding the stick. But the village lies quiet and safe. The animals rest, the fires are controlled, the shadows remain only shadows. And for the first time you understand the true heart of medieval nights. Peace isn't guaranteed. It is protected. Your companion claps your shoulder once before heading to his home. Your part in the night is done. Above you, the stars watch silently, their cold light timeless and comforting. When the night watch ends, you find yourself alone for the first time since dawn. The village lies quiet behind you, its cottages glowing faintly from the last embers of their hearths. A soft wind brushes across your cheeks, cool and gentle, carrying the scent of woodsmoke, damp soil, and distant pine. You're tired, more tired than you realized. Not the kind of exhaustion that comes from a long modern day, but a deeper weariness woven into your muscles, your bones, a heaviness earned honestly. And yet, something draws you upward. The hill behind the village rises gently, covered in wild grasses that shimmer silver under the moonlight. You walk toward it, guided by a curiosity, by the pull of quiet spaces, by a need to breathe away from the weight of chores and watchfulness. Each step is soft, cushioned by the cool earth. Each breath feels cleaner, freer, and the sky above you widens with every moment. When you reach the crest of the hill, the world opens. The village rests below like a cluster of warm embers, its lights flickering faintly against the dark. Beyond it lie fields, meadows, forests, a sprawling patchwork of shadows and pale moonlit shapes. And above, the heavens stretch in breathtaking clarity, without lanterns, without electricity, without the haze of modern lights. The night sky reveals itself in full brilliance. Thousands of stars scatter across the darkness, bright and unwavering. Constellations form shapes you've only seen in books, now sharp and unmistakable. The Milky Way spills across the sky like a river of glowing dust. It feels ancient. It feels eternal. It feels alive. You lower yourself into the grass, the blades cool and soft beneath your palms. The earth hums quietly, a subtle vibration you can almost sense in your fingertips. Crickets sing in a slow, steady rhythm. An owl glides overhead, silent as a shadow. Somewhere far off, a fox barks once, its call sharp in the stillness. You lie back fully, letting the weight of the day melt downward, sinking into the ground. The stars tilt above you. Or perhaps it is simply your mind softening, unfurling, relaxing for the first time since morning. Your breath slows, your muscles loosen. Your heartbeat steadies into a quiet, gentle pulse. You think about the villagers, how they live each day bound to the land, the seasons, the rise and fall of the sun. You think of the endless small labors that shape their survival, the constant vigilance, the fragility of every life here, and yet, despite the hardship, there is a calmness in their world that yours no longer knows. No buzzing of machines, no screens, no pressure to be everywhere at once, only the steady rhythm of existence carried on wind and fire and starlight. As you gaze upward, the healer's words echo softly in your mind. Rest is as important as labor. Up here, beneath this ancient sky, you finally understand. The stars seem closer now, as if leaning in to share their quiet wisdom. Their light washes over your face, cool and steady, brushing away the last remnants of tension from your brow. Time feels distant, almost irrelevant. The night stretches without urgency, without expectation. You allow yourself to breathe deeply, savoring this rare moment where the world asks nothing of you, where the past and present blur, where the universe feels impossibly vast and intimately near. For a few precious minutes, or perhaps much longer, you can't quite tell. You simply exist within the calm embrace of the night. When you finally sit up, the sky remains just as brilliant, the village just as peaceful. The ache in your body is still there, but softened, transformed into something manageable, something earned. You rise slowly, brushing dew from your cloak. The night is still young in medieval terms, and sleep, deeper than any you've known, awaits you. You make your way back down the moonlit hill, your steps slow and deliberate, the cool night air brushing softly against your cheeks. The village feels different now, less like a place of constant motion and more like a resting creature, curled gently beneath the blanket of darkness. The only sounds are the soft rustling of leaves, the distant murmur of flowing water, and the subtle creak of homes settling into the night. When you reach the small cottage that has become your shelter, the door opens with a familiar wooden sigh. The fire inside is dimmed to faint, glowing embers, still warm enough to cast a soft blush of light across the room. Everything is quiet. The family sleeps peacefully, their slow breaths rising in gentle waves. Your bed awaits in the corner. It's simple, a low wooden frame stuffed with straw, covered by the same coarse wool blanket you used the night before. Earlier, you barely noticed its discomfort. Now, after a full day of medieval labor, it looks almost inviting. You sit on the edge first. The straw shifts beneath you, crackling softly. Some pieces poke through the linen covering, brushing against your legs with tiny pinpricks. The mattress is uneven, dipping where the straw has settled, rising slightly where it has bunched. But warmth pours from the wool blanket when you pull it over your lap, and in this world, warmth is a luxury cherished deeply. You lie back slowly. At first, your muscles complain, stiff, sore, stretched from tasks unfamiliar to your modern life. The ache spreads through you like slow-moving water settling into every joint. But as you breathe, your body begins to accept the surface beneath you, adjusting to its uneven support. The scents of the day cling faintly to you, smoke from the watchman's lantern, crushed grass from the hillside, earth from the fields, a hint of herbal salve from the healer's careful touch. They mix with the gentle aroma of dried hay and faint wood smoke drifting through the air. It's not unpleasant, it's grounding. The cottage is dark, but you can make out shapes in the low glow of the embers. The curve of a clay jug on the table, the soft mound where the children sleep, the silhouette of the man and woman resting side by side. Their presence brings a sense of safety, not the safety of locked doors or security systems, but the quieter kind, the safety of shared exhaustion, shared space, shared humanity. Outside, an owl calls again, distant and steady. The wind sighs along the thatched roof. The embers crack softly, almost like a whisper. You admire how differently night feels here. There is no hum of electronics, no neon light leaking through curtains, no traffic groaning in the distance. Only the sounds of nature, unbroken and unchanged for centuries. Your thoughts begin to drift. You think of the water you carried, the field you worked, the forest where you gathered wood. The grain mills rumble beneath your hands. The healer's wisdom woven into every word, the night watch beneath the stars. Every moment of the day was simple, yet heavy, basic, yet demanding, beautiful, yet edged with danger. You feel the lesson settle deeply within you. Modern life has comfort, but medieval life had gravity. Nothing was taken for granted. Everything meant something. Your eyelids grow heavy, the wool blanket warm against your chest. The ache in your muscles becomes a dull throb, softened by the promise of sleep. The straw rustles gently as you shift, creating a sound like dry rain. Your breathing slows. Your thoughts stretch into long, soft strands. The night folds around you, protective and ancient. Just before sleep claims you completely, you notice something unexpected. Despite the discomfort, despite the hardship, you feel a quiet sense of belonging. The day has carved something new in you, and the night cradles it tenderly as you drift into dreams. Sleep does not come instantly. It arrives slowly, like mist drifting in from the forest, settling layer by layer across your tired mind. You lie in the straw mattress, wrapped in the coarse wool blanket, listening to the natural lullabies of medieval night. The embers whispering softly in the hearth, the rhythmic breathing of the family nearby, the faint rustle of the wind easing through the cracks in the wooden shutters. These sounds blend into a soothing, timeless hush that begins to cradle your thoughts. Your body is heavy with fatigue, but your mind floats somewhere between waking and dreaming, drifting gently, unhurried. And then the dreams come. They are not sharp or vivid like modern dreams, shaped by screens and noise. Instead, they feel ancient, earthy, woven from the textures of your long day. You find yourself walking through the fields again, except the wheat sways taller than before, golden waves rising to your shoulders. The sunlight is soft, as if filtered through warm honey. Each stalk brushes past your fingertips like threads of silk. You breathe deeply, and the air tastes sweet, touched with the scent of wildflowers you never noticed during the day. You keep walking, and the field slowly becomes the forest. But not the forest as you saw it earlier, not shadowed and demanding, but luminous. Moonlight drips through the branches in silver streaks, illuminating patches of moss that glow faintly under your feet. Fireflies float between the trees like wandering sparks from the blacksmith's forge. They gather around you, drifting in delicate circles that light your path. In the dream, you are not afraid, not of wolves or darkness or the weight of the unknown. Here, everything is gentle. Everything breathes with you. You follow the glowing path to a small clearing where a wooden table sits beneath an ancient oak. On it lies a loaf of warm bread, a bowl of stew, a bundle of herbs, the symbols of your day transformed into tokens of comfort. You sit, though no chair is visible, and the moment you do, the forest hums softly as though in approval. Across the table, a figure appears, not frightening, not strange, just familiar. You cannot see their face, but something about their presence is calming, like the healer's soft voice or the shepherd's steady steps. They place a lantern on the table, its flame steady and golden, radiating warmth that soaks into your chest. When the lantern light touches you, your aches begin to fade, your sore shoulders loosening, your tired hands warming, your weary legs relaxing. Every burden of the day slips away, melting like frost beneath the morning sun. The figure raises a hand, not to speak, not to warn, but to bless. A gentle gesture of gratitude for your effort, your endurance, your willingness to walk a day in a world that asks so much from those who live in it. Then the forest shifts. The lantern's flame swells, glowing brighter until it fills the clearing with golden warmth. The wheat fields return, washing over the forest floor like a tide of sunlight. The sky brightens. Birds begin to sing. Your dream is transforming into dawn. The figure dissolves into light. The lantern becomes the rising sun. The warmth becomes morning itself. And slowly, you awaken. Your eyes flutter open to the soft gray of pre-dawn, the embers still glowing faintly in the hearth. The straw beneath you rustles as you shift, your body heavy but rested. Outside, the first birds begin their morning song, gentle, distant, hopeful. Your dream lingers like mist, strange, comforting, ancient. Your second medieval day is about to begin. Before the sun even rises, the world begins to stir. A faint gray light filters through the shutters, soft as a whispered promise of morning. The cold greets you first, a crisp, biting chill that slips beneath your blanket and settles against your skin. Medieval nights do not easily surrender their grip, and dawn arrives with a cool breath that makes you tuck the wool closer around your shoulders. The cottage is still dim. The fire has faded to a bed of faint, glowing coals. The air smells lightly of smoke, hay, and the traces of last night's stew. You can hear the gentle shifting of the family as they wake. The man rises first, his movements practiced, quiet. He stands, stretches slowly, and kneels by the hearth, coaxing the embers back to life with tender patience. He adds dried kindling, blowing softly until a fragile flame unfolds like a newborn flower. Soon, warmth begins to spread through the small space. The woman follows, adjusting her shawl around her shoulders, already moving with the first subtle rhythms of a new day. She lifts a pot onto the rekindled fire, preparing the morning porridge. The children stir beneath their blankets, wriggling like sleepy kittens before blinking awake, rubbing their eyes with small, clumsy hands, and you rise as well. Your body protests at first, your muscles stiff and tender from the previous day's unfamiliar labor. But as you sit up, the ache feels different now. Not a sharp pain, but a steady reminder of what you've endured, what you've learned. A kind of strength is taking root in the soreness. When you stand, your bare feet meet the cold wooden floor. The chill rushes up your legs, a jarring but strangely refreshing sensation. You wrap your cloak around your shoulders and breathe in deeply. Morning in the medieval world is not leisurely, it is not gentle, it is necessary, and it is beautiful. You step outside as the sky begins to lighten. A pale blush spreads across the horizon, soft and delicate, as though the sun is painting its way into the world one quiet stroke at a time. The air smells of dew and earth, fresh and honest. Mist clings to the fields, rising slowly like spirits drifting home after their night wanderings. A rooster crows, cows low in the distance, a dog barks once, stretching awake. The entire village breathes in unison with the dawn. You walk toward the well carrying an empty wooden bucket. The path beneath your feet is cold and damp. The quiet is comforting, broken only by the crunch of frost beneath your boots and the distant murmur of morning voices beginning to bloom. The well stands like a guardian of the village, its stones dark with moisture. You draw water again, the rope rough against your hands. The bucket rises dripping and heavy, its surface shimmering with the soft glow of first light. As you lift it, you catch the scent of the coming day, wood smoke, damp leaves, fresh bread beginning to bake in distant ovens. Life returning. When you bring the water back to the cottage, the woman smiles softly, a weary, grateful expression that says more than words ever could. The porridge is ready now, steam curling upward in gentle spirals. You sit with the family once more, sharing warmth and silence in equal measure. The first spoonful is familiar, plain, hearty, grounding. But today, you taste it differently. It carries the memory of yesterday's labor, last night's dream, and the steady rhythm of a world that survives through simple, unwavering effort. Outside, the sun finally breaks the horizon, thin at first, then brightening into a warm, golden glow that spills across the village, awakening every rooftop, every field, every soul. Your second day in medieval times has begun, and already you can feel its weight pressing gently, steadily upon your shoulders. After breakfast, the morning air has sharpened into a crisp clarity that wakes every sense. Smoke from newly lit hearths rises in thin, wandering ribbons above the rooftops. The village hums with the familiar beginning of daily labor, but today your path leads somewhere hotter, louder, and far more demanding than any task you've faced so far. The blacksmith is waiting. You see him near his forge, sleeves rolled up, muscles already gleaming with the sheen of early sweat. The forge itself pulses with an orange glow, like a contained sun breathing heat into the cool morning. The anvil stands beside it, solid, eternal, bearing the scars of decades of strikes. Nearby, tools hang neatly along a wooden rack, tongs, hammers, chisels, each one darkened by soot and use. When the blacksmith gestures for you to approach, you feel the temperature rise even before you reach the door. The inside of the forge is alive. Heat radiates in waves strong enough to sting your skin. Sparks leap from the glowing coals like fireflies made of molten gold. The air smells of metal, smoke, and sweat, a raw, almost primal scent that speaks of creation through struggle. The blacksmith hands you a set of iron tongs. They're heavy, awkward, their grip unfamiliar. He places a glowing piece of metal onto the anvil, its orange center pulsing like a living ember. Then the lesson begins. He swings his hammer first, one clean arc, solid and sure. The strike rings through the forge, vibrating in your chest. He hands you the hammer next. It's heavier than you expected, the wooden handle warm and worn smooth by countless hands. You lift it, feeling the weight challenge your wrist, your shoulder, your balance. The blacksmith nods toward the metal. You bring the hammer down. The sound is harsh, uneven. The strike lands too light, barely shaping the heated iron. You try again, harder this time. The vibration shoots up your arm, jarring your teeth, but the metal begins to bend, just slightly beneath your effort. The blacksmith guides you with brief, sharp motions, tilting the tongs, adjusting your stance, showing you how to bring the hammer down with purpose rather than force. But even with his help, every strike drains you. The heat presses into your skin. Sweat gathers at your temples. Your arms tire quickly, trembling beneath the weight of the hammer. The forge has no mercy. Every mistake means another strike. Every hesitation cools the metal. Every moment of inattention risks injury. But somewhere in the steady rhythm, the hammer rising, falling, the sparks flying, the metal slowly bending to your will. You begin to understand the strange beauty of this craft. It is not just labor. It is shaping survival itself. The tools you saw in the village, the sickles, the hinges, the chains, the knives, each was born in a place like this, under hands like these. And every villager depends on the strength of these creations. Without the blacksmith, the fields go unharvested, the doors go unlatched, the wagons stop moving. The blacksmith wipes his brow, watching your progress. For a moment he steps aside, letting you try on your own. You lift the hammer again, ignoring the burn in your arms, and strike. The metal flattens just slightly in the right direction. He grunts, a sound that, in this world, means approval. By the time he pulls the iron away to cool it in a trough of water, steam erupts in a loud hissing cloud. The sudden rush of cool mist feels like a blessing against your overheated skin. You step back, breath heavy, clothes damp with sweat. The forge still roars behind you, hungry for the next task, the next creation. And yet you've contributed your small part, one piece in the endless chain of work that keeps the village alive. The blacksmith claps you on the shoulder, his rough hand leaving a faint smudge of soot. There are no grand thanks in this world, no applause, but this quiet acknowledgement feels heavier and more meaningful. You step outside into the open air. The cold hits you instantly, refreshing, bracing. The village looks softer from here, its morning activities unfolding gently beneath a sky turning a pure, clear blue. Your arms ache, your shoulders throb, but there is a spark in your chest, a tiny ember of pride. You shaped iron, and in doing so you shaped a part of this world, however small. The day is far from over, and the village still has much to teach you. After leaving the forge, the cool air settles over your overheated skin like a soothing hand, but you don't have long to enjoy it. A familiar voice calls your name from the direction of the fields, and when you turn, you see the broad-shouldered farmer from your first day, already waiting, already working. The fields do not rest, and today neither will you. You join him at the edge of a freshly tilled plot, where the soil is rich and dark beneath the morning light. The scent of earth rises warmly, deep, grounding, almost comforting in its honesty. Birds circle overhead, darting low to snatch worms unearthed by yesterday's labor. A soft breeze moves through the wheat, making the stalks ripple like a golden sea. The farmer gestures toward the tools: hoes, rakes, a wooden plow harnessed to an ox with calm, tired eyes. Today, he tells you, the task is planting. Planting sounds gentle. It is not. He kneels and shows you how to press seeds into the soil, just deep enough to protect them, just shallow enough to let them breathe. It's a delicate balance, repeated hundreds of times across rows that stretch farther than you can easily see. You kneel beside him and begin. The earth is cool against your palms. The soil crumbles softly between your fingers. Each seed is small, fragile, yet holds the promise of survival for the village. Grain for flour, flour for bread, bread for strength. Your back begins to ache almost immediately. The position is unnatural to you, your knees pressing into the ground, your arms reaching again and again. But the farmer beside you works with a steady rhythm, his hands shaped by years of patience. His movements are almost meditative. Plant, press, cover, move. Plant, press, cover, move. Minutes blur into an hour. You stand occasionally, stretching your spine as the fields sway gently in the warm breeze. The sun climbs higher, bathing your skin in soft heat. Sweat forms at your neck. Dirt clings to your sleeves. Your hands grow sore, not from carrying or striking, but from the slow, repetitive tenderness of creation. For the first time, you understand the duality of farming here. It is brutal work, yes, but also sacred. The farmer pauses beside you and wipes his brow. He gestures toward the horizon, where endless stretches of land lie waiting. He tells you that everything the village eats, every loaf, every stew, every crumb, begins in these fields. He says it softly, but the meaning lands heavily. In your world, food arrives in stores, wrapped neatly, disconnected from the soil that bore it. Here, every meal is earned with hands in the earth, with aching backs and sun-browned skin, with hope that weather will be kind and pests will be few. The ox moves slowly ahead, dragging the wooden plow with deliberate strength. The furrows deepen row after row, forming lines as straight as the path of a falling star. You help guide it, your hands on the handles, your feet braced against the uneven ground. The weight of the plow presses into your palms, your arms trembling as you push. It's far harder than it looks. The farmer steadies the ox with quiet words, and the animal responds with a low, patient grunt. You marvel at how closely man and beast work together here, each dependent on the other, each understanding the rhythm of the land. By midday, you've planted countless seeds. The plot behind you, once bare, now holds the promise of future harvests. Tiny, invisible beginnings hidden beneath the soil. Your body aches in new places, your fingers stiff, your knees tender, your shoulders tight. But there is something deeply satisfying about looking over the field and knowing you helped create life. The farmer stands with you for a moment, both of you breathing heavily, watching the breeze sweep across the newly planted earth. He gives you a small nod, the kind that holds gratitude, respect, and quiet approval. In the medieval world, that nod is worth more than words. You return toward the village together, the sun warming your back, the scent of earth lingering on your hands. The day continues to unfold, full of demands, yet for a moment there is peace. You planted something today, and in doing so, something planted itself quietly within you too. The sun has climbed into its warm afternoon arc, softening the edges of the village in golden light. After the long hours in the fields, the farmers begin their slow return towards the heart of the settlement, boots dusted with soil, faces touched with fatigue and quiet fulfillment. You move with them, the ache in your body now a familiar companion, no longer shocking, just part of the rhythm of this world. As you reach the village square, you notice something new, a cluster of people gathered near the market lane, their voices carrying the pleasant rise and fall of negotiation. It's market exchange time, an informal ritual that happens a few days each week where villagers barter goods, offer services, and quietly shape their reputations within the community. This is not a place of loud merchants or coins flashing in the air. This is quieter, older, a system built on trust, memory, and the delicate balance of mutual need. A woman lays out bundles of dried herbs, the same healer's touch evident in their neat twine knots. A man offers wooden bowls carved earlier in the season. Another brings a small basket of eggs gathered carefully from his coop that morning. No one shouts to draw attention. Instead, neighbors approach with nods, gestures, and murmured questions. You sense the shift when you enter. People glance at you, not suspiciously, but curiously. You've worked among them since dawn of your first day here. They've seen you carry water, gather firewood, kneel in the soil, walk the night watch. And in a place where every action is remembered, even the smallest effort adds weight. A few villagers approach the woman you helped at the grain mill. They ask her about yesterday's walk, and she gestures toward you with a small, approving smile. Her tone is soft, but gratitude shapes her voice. In medieval villages, reputation isn't built by words. It's built by deeds, by sweat, by presence, by willingness. And yours, it seems, has begun to grow. You wander through the stalls, absorbing the quiet exchange of goods. A young girl offers you a small wooden bead, rough, imperfect, but carved with care. She presses it into your hand shyly before darting away. It surprises you more than anything you've seen today. A small gift, freely given, because you helped her father carry grain. Further down the lane, an old man beckons you to his stall. His wares are simple: hand-woven rope, small bundles of tinder, flint stones for fire starting. He studies you with bright, keen eyes. You worked the fields, he says, not as a question, but as a quiet acknowledgement. You nod. He ties two pieces of rope together, sturdy, well made, and hands them to you. For your help earlier, he murmurs. Good hands, even if inexperienced. You accept the gift with both hands, understanding its weight. Rope here is valuable, essential for repairs, tools, travel, even survival. The kind of item no one gives lightly. You wander further, absorbing the delicate dance of barter. A potter trades a bowl for a dozen eggs. A shepherd exchanges wool for a bit of smoked fish. A mother trades dried herbs for a new wooden ladle. No one counts coins. No one measures value with scales. Worth is understood through need and fairness, through relationships woven over years. At one stall you pause before a piece of cloth dyed in pale blue. The merchant explains the dye came from rare flowers growing near the river. You touch the fabric. It's coarse compared to modern standards, but beautiful in its own way, alive with color and effort. You don't take it. You haven't earned something that valuable. But the merchant sees your interest and gives a small nod of respect, the kind offered to someone who understands the worth of labor. And slowly, as you walk through the square, you begin to grasp another truth about medieval life. Survival depends not only on strength or skill, but on community, on reputation, on the subtle economy of trust. It is a currency more fragile than coin, yet far more powerful. When the market gradually dissolves and villagers drift back to their chores, you stand quietly in the square, the small wooden bead and the coil of rope held in your hands. Gifts, tokens, signs that you are no longer just a stranger passing through. You are becoming part of the village's story, thread by thread. As the afternoon sun drifts lower, warming the village in soft amber, a woman calls you over with a gentle wave. Beside her are two wooden tubs and a bundle of linen garments worn thin from long use. She smiles knowingly. Every able pair of hands is needed, and today yours will join hers in one of the quiet but relentless chores of medieval life, washing clothes by the river. She hands you a wooden paddle, smooth and slightly curved, its surface worn from years of scrubbing. The gesture carries no impatience, no burden, only the simple expectation that this too is part of life here. You follow her down a narrow path leading away from the village. The scent of damp earth grows stronger as you approach the river, mingling with the sweet aroma of wild mint growing along the bank. The sound reaches you gradually, the steady burble of flowing water, soothing and rhythmic, like nature whispering a lullaby. When you arrive, the river shines under the sun, its surface rippling gently in hues of silver and gold. Dragonflies hover near the reeds, shimmering like tiny gemstones. The air feels cooler here, refreshing, alive. The woman kneels at the water's edge, her movements smooth and practiced. She dips a garment into the river, lifts it out dripping, spreads it flat across a washboard stone, and begins to scrub with slow circular motions. The sound is comforting, soft cloth against stone, water splashing, the river's whisper filling the quiet spaces between breaths. You kneel beside her. The ground is damp and cold beneath your knees, soaking quickly through your trousers. The river water is shockingly cool as you plunge your hands into it, sending a shiver racing up your arms. You lift a shirt, heavy with dirt and sweat from long days of labor, and lay it across the rock as she showed you. Then you begin to scrub. The cloth resists at first, stiff with dried earth and sweat. But as you work the paddle in steady strokes, the water loosens the stains until suds form, washing away the marks of the day. Your arms ache almost immediately, but the rhythm has a strange peace to it. You fall into the pattern: dip, scrub, rinse, wring, repeat. The woman hums softly as she works, a simple melody soothing in its repetition. Birds join in from the trees overhead, their songs weaving in and out of her tune. The river flows steadily beneath your hands, carrying the dirt of the garments downstream, as though erasing the hardships of the day. This moment feels gentle, not easy, but gentle. A pause in the demanding life of the village, yet still a task that keeps everything moving. As you continue, you sense how essential this chore truly is. Cleanliness isn't a luxury, it's survival. Dirty clothes invite illness, damp cloth breeds sickness, and with each garment you scrub and rinse, you contribute to the village's health in a way that is so often overlooked. The woman beside you speaks softly now, telling stories of her childhood, of washing clothes with her mother by this very river. She describes winters when the water was icy enough to numb her fingers, summers when the river ran low, springs when the current rushed too fast. She shares memories of laughter, of shared burdens, of life flowing as steadily as the water before you now. You realize something as she speaks. In a world without machines, without convenience, chores that seem mundane become spaces for connection, moments to breathe, moments to learn one another, moments to weave community into daily life. When the laundry is finally clean, you help the woman hang the garments along a line stretched between two sturdy branches. The wind catches the linen, lifting it gently, letting it dance in the fading afternoon light. The clothes flutter like pale flags waving their quiet thanks. Your arms ache, your hands are pruned from the cold water, and your knees are damp, but there is a lightness in your chest, a simple, grounded satisfaction. As you walk back toward the village together, the sun settles lower, painting the world in amber and rose. The river murmurs behind you, carrying the remnants of your labor downstream, as though cleansing not just the clothes, but the day itself. You return feeling lighter, your pace slower, your breath deeper, the warmth of quiet companionship lingering in your heart. The sun sits low in the sky now, stretched into long, golden streaks that spill over rooftops and warm the packed earth beneath your feet. The village is winding down, but the day's work is not yet finished. Not here, where every object is precious, every tool essential, every garment cherished until its last usable thread. As you walk back into the square, an elderly woman with silver-threaded hair beckons you from her small cottage. Her hands are nimble despite their age, her fingers bearing tiny scars from years of stitching, weaving, and mending. She motions you inside with a warm, wrinkled smile, the kind that feels like a gentle blanket wrapped around your shoulders. Her cottage is dim but cozy. Strands of wool hang from wooden pegs. A spindle rests near the window. Dried herbs dangle from the rafters. On a low table lies a small pile of worn garments, each one softened by time and tending. She hands you a simple tunic, its seam fraying, a small tear near the shoulder. Then she places a needle in your palm, threaded with sturdy linen fiber. You feel your heartbeat quicken just a little. Sewing is delicate work, and your hands are stiff from the forge, the fields, the river. But she places her own hand over yours, steadying it, guiding it toward the fabric. The lesson begins. Her movements are slow, rhythmic. She teaches you how to fold the worn cloth inward, how to pierce the fabric cleanly, how to pull the thread through without tangling it. Each motion creates a soft, precise sound, needle dipping, thread tightening, cloth shifting beneath your fingertips. You mimic her movements, clumsy at first, uneven, but patient. She does not rush you. She does not correct with sharp words. She simply waits, watching your hands, letting you find the quiet rhythm on your own. The cottage fills with a comforting hush, the kind of silence that feels alive rather than empty. Outside you hear faint echoes of village life, a dog barking, children laughing as they return from their play, the soft thump of a door closing. But here, inside this small, warm room, time feels slower. As your stitches begin to steady, the elderly woman nods with approval. She leans back, reaches for a basket of wool, and begins to spin thread on her spindle. The wooden wheel turns with soft creaks, the fibers twisting smoothly into yarn beneath her skilled hands. She speaks now, her voice soft and textured like worn fabric. She tells you that every garment here has a long life. It is sewn, worn, washed, repaired, passed down. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is thrown away casually. Everything is made with care and used with gratitude. She shows you a cloak that belonged to her grandmother, stitched with dozens of tiny mended patches, each one a record of a different winter, a different hardship, a different pair of hands that kept it alive. She strokes the cloak with reverence, not sadness. In medieval times, mending is not simply repair, it is memory. You finish your stitches at last. The seam isn't perfect, but it holds. The tear is gone. The garment has been given another season of life. You feel a small swell of pride rise in your chest. The woman accepts it from you with both hands, eyes warm with gratitude. She places the tunic gently on the pile of finished work, as though returning it to its rightful place among the village's cherished possessions. Then she offers you a newly knitted woolen band, soft, simple, and warm. "For your wrists," she says quietly, noticing the soreness left by the forge in the fields. It's a gift born of observation, care, and the old instinct to protect those who labor with their hands. You slip the band on, it fits perfectly. Its warmth is immediate and comforting. As the two of you sit for a moment longer in the fading light, you feel an unexpected sense of peace, a stillness that settles gently over your tired body, a warmth that grows not from fire but from connection, craft, and the shared understanding of work done with purpose. Outside, the sky shifts into evening's violet glow. Inside, the spindle slows. Your breath deepens. The day's final tasks are drawing near, but for now, you rest in the quiet craft of making and mending, feeling yourself woven, softly, slowly, into the fabric of this medieval world. Evening settles gently across the village, soft as a wool blanket laid over the land. The sky shifts into shades of lavender and deepening blue, and the first stars begin to blink awake, early sentinels of the night to come. Lanterns glow in doorways, fires crackle in hearths. The scent of cooking drifts through the cool air, warm and inviting. Tonight's meal is different, not grand, not feast-like, but special in its own quiet way. You are invited into a cottage you haven't yet visited, a home belonging to the potter whose hands carved the wooden bowls you've admired in the market. The door opens, and the soft glow of the hearth spills out, welcoming you inside. The potter and his family greet you with tired but genuine smiles. Their day has been long, kneading clay, turning wheels, tending the kiln, but their table is set with care. Clay bowls, mismatched yet lovingly crafted, sit atop a simple woven cloth. A pot of stew simmers on the fire, its aroma rich with lentils, carrots, and a rare handful of herbs gifted by the healer. You take your seat at the table. The potter ladles stew into your bowl, offering a portion generous enough to warm your heart. His wife places a plate of coarse bread between you all. Their children, wide-eyed and curious about the newcomer who works alongside their village, whisper quietly before offering shy smiles. The first spoonful is comforting, simple, wholesome, grounding. The vegetables have softened into the broth, creating a texture that soothes your tired body. The taste carries echoes of the land you worked earlier, the river where you scrubbed clothes, the herbs hanging in the healer's cottage. Everything in this meal is connected to your day. As you eat, conversation flows easily. The potter tells stories of vessels he made years ago that still serve the village, jugs that survived winters, bowls used by 3 generations, pots that cracked in the fire but were mended instead of discarded. His pride is quiet but unmistakable. His work is not art for beauty's sake. It is creation for survival, usefulness, and lineage. His wife speaks of gathering clay from the riverbank, how each batch feels different beneath her fingers, some smooth, some gritty, some stubborn, until coaxed with patience. She laughs softly as she tells you how the potter once shattered an entire firing by misjudging the heat. "We learned more from that failure than any success," she says, her eyes warm. The children ask about your day, your work in the fields, your time at the forge, the night watch beneath the stars. They listen with awe as though you have faced dragons rather than chores. Their wonder is contagious, lifting the heaviness of the day. After the meal, a small ritual unfolds. The potter breaks a piece of bread, dips it into the last of the broth, and offers it to you with both hands. A gesture of deep gratitude, a medieval blessing of sorts. By sharing their bread, they acknowledge you as part of the day, part of their effort, part of their world. You accept it quietly, humbled by the sincerity of the moment. The fire crackles warmly beside you. Shadows dance along the walls, stretching like gentle spirits. The room feels fuller than before, not because of its size, but because of the shared breath, shared work, shared humanity filling it. When the bowls are empty and the pot is scraped clean, the family lingers, savoring the warmth of company as much as the warmth of the meal. This is what evening means in the medieval world. Not entertainment, not distraction, but presence. Connection. A moment to breathe after endless hours of labor. Before you leave, the potter presses something into your hand, a small clay charm shaped like a spiral. For safe passage, he says quietly, the world can be uncertain. Carry this and you'll remember you're not alone. The charm is warm from the fire, smooth in places, rough in others, handmade, imperfect, and priceless. You step back into the cool night air with a full stomach, a warmer heart, and the faint scent of stew clinging to your cloak. The village glows softly around you, preparing again for the coming night. Your tired body hums with the peace of a shared meal. Your mind drifts toward rest, but the day still holds one more lesson. Night settles deeper, draping the village in a velvety blue that seems almost woven from silence. Lanterns glow like soft amber pearls, dotting the winding paths between cottages. Smoke spirals upward from chimneys, drifting lazily toward a star-splashed sky. The air has grown colder, but the sounds of the evening, gentle laughter, low voices, crackling fires, wrap the village in a warm hush. Tonight, the villagers gather, not for ceremony, not for duty, but simply to share the warmth of one another's company. You are invited to a larger cottage near the center of the settlement, where a freshly stoked fire glows bright, casting golden light onto the wooden beams overhead. As you step inside, you feel the warmth immediately, an enveloping embrace that pushes the night's chill away. People sit on benches, stools, and woven mats arranged around the hearth. Some cradle mugs of warm herbal tea or weak ale. Others mend small items while talking, patching a sock, sharpening a small knife, weaving fibers into rope. Children settle onto parents' laps, eyelids fluttering but fighting sleep to witness the gathering. The atmosphere is gentle, unhurried, a kind of quiet togetherness that modern life rarely leaves room for. You find a seat near the hearth, where the fire's glow paints your hands in shades of amber. The potter's youngest child sits beside you, clutching the spiral charm you were gifted earlier, comparing it to the one he wears around his own neck. He offers you a shy smile before nestling against his father's side. A lull settles over the room as the village elder stands, a woman with hair like silver reeds and eyes bright as polished flint. She leans on a carved wooden staff and waits for the hush to deepen, as though she speaks not with command, but with time itself. When she begins, her voice is soft yet powerful, woven with decades of memory. She tells a tale of the village's founding, of the first families who settled near the river, planting their hopes in fertile soil, of the harsh winters that tested their resolve, and the warm summers that nourished their spirits, of neighbors building homes together, raising barns together, surviving storms and celebrating harvests side by side. Her story is not one of heroes or kings. It is one of people, ordinary, steadfast, unyielding in their quiet resilience. As she speaks, you look around the room. The faces lit by firelight are the same ones you've worked beside. The farmer who taught you the weight of soil, the blacksmith who shaped iron with fire and sweat, the healer whose hands ease pain with herbs, the potter who feeds the village with his craftsmanship, the mothers who cradle infants through cold nights, the children whose laughter brightens the hardest days. You begin to understand something deep and profound. In medieval times, survival wasn't built on individual strength. It was built on community, on countless hands working together, on voices shared by firelight, on stories that remind each generation why they endure. The elder's tale shifts now, weaving in lessons of humility, courage, and gratitude. She speaks of how every task, no matter how small, threads itself into the fabric of the village's life. A loaf of bread feeds a family, a repaired cloak protects a traveler, a sharpened tool helps bring in the harvest, a watchful eye at night keeps the wolves away. Every effort matters, every person matters, even you, new to their world, weary from the day's challenges, have become part of their woven tapestry. When her story ends, the room does not burst into applause. That isn't the way of this world. Instead, there's a deep collective exhale, a shared moment of reflection. The fire crackles softly, casting sparks that drift upward like tiny wishes. A few villagers share their own short tales, humorous moments from childhood, memories of hunts gone wrong, stories of lost sheep found in improbable places. Laughter rises gently, warming the room even more. Someone begins humming a slow, soothing tune, and soon others join in, their voices low and harmonic, blending into a lullaby for the night itself. You feel your body growing heavy, your eyelids dipping lower, the warmth, the closeness, the steady hum of voices. It all melts together into something comforting and profound. In this moment, you realize how rare such gatherings have become in your own world. Nights without distraction, without noise, without hurry. Nights built not on entertainment, but on presence. The fire glows steadily. The room sways gently with quiet song. The villagers lean into one another like family, and you, tired, sore, humbled, feel yourself belonging in a way you never expected. The night deepens. The warmth holds you. Sleep begins to whisper. As the evening gathering softens into a mellow hush, the firelight flickers warmly across resting faces. Children have drifted into sleep where they sit, heads resting against parents' arms. Adults speak in low murmurs, their voices blending with the steady crackle of the hearth. The air carries the comforting scent of burning wood, wool cloaks warmed by heat, and faint traces of herbs still clinging to your skin. But before the village settles completely into silence, one more figure rises. He is the oldest man in the village, thin as winter branches, eyes soft with the cloudiness of age, yet brightened by something deeper. Wisdom, memory, a life lived through more seasons than anyone else here. His hands tremble slightly as he grips his carved walking stick, but his voice, when it comes, is clear as flowing water. The villagers straighten gently, not out of obligation, but reverence. This is the keeper of old stories. He waits for the room to quiet. The fire shifts, sending a trail of gold dancing across his lined face. Then he begins, speaking not loudly, but with the steady calm of someone who knows every ear is listening. His tale is older than the village, older than the river, older than the oldest oak in the forest. He speaks of a time when the land was wild and unsettled, when storms carved valleys and fires shaped hills, before homes, before fields, before people gathered into villages like this. Only wanderers roamed then, families moving from place to place, seeking shelter where they could, guided only by the stars. He tells of the first winter, the one the elder mentioned earlier, but his version carries the weight of myth rather than memory. Snow fell for 40 days. Winds howled like creatures not of this world. Food grew scarce, and fires burned low. The villagers' ancestors, he says, nearly lost hope. But one night, when the cold had nearly swallowed the last warmth from their bodies, a stranger appeared at their campfire, cloaked in furs, carrying a lantern whose flame never flickered, not even in the furious wind. The stranger spoke only a few words, "Follow the light." So they did. The lantern led them through a maze of trees and frozen streams, until, at last, they emerged into a hidden valley where winter's bite could not reach, a place shielded from the storm by the land's embrace. There they found berries still clinging to bushes, water that had not frozen, and shelter in the form of a great hollow tree. It saved them, every one of them. And when spring returned, the stranger was gone, vanished like mist. But the lantern remained, left at the foot of the great tree, glowing with a warmth no one could explain. The old man leans closer to the fire now, his voice dipping into a whisper. He tells the room that the lantern still exists, hidden, guarded, passed down through generations. Not a physical object anymore, but a symbol, a reminder of light, found in deepest darkness, of hope when all seems lost, of unity in the face of danger. He lifts his gaze, and for a moment his eyes meet yours. It is not flame alone that saves us, he says. It is the warmth we share. His words sink into the room like falling snow, soft yet heavy with meaning. Around you, villagers nod quietly. Some close their eyes. Others stare into the fire, lost in memories or thoughts too deep to speak aloud. The potter's wife wipes a tear from her cheek. The healer folds her hands together. Even the blacksmith, broad and strong, bows his head slightly, as if honoring the truth in the tale. The old man finishes by telling the children, though most are already drifting into dreams, that everyone carries a lantern within them. Some days its flame burns fiercely, other days it shrinks to an ember. But it never disappears, so long as hearts remember to share warmth and hope with one another. When he returns to his seat, the fire seems to burn a little brighter. No applause follows, just silence, soft, full, reverent. The kind of silence that lingers after a truth has been spoken. A silence that makes the world feel gentler. You sit with it, letting your breath slow, letting your spirit settle. The story wraps around you like a warm cloak. Before tonight, you might have thought medieval life lacked magic. Now you see it clearly. It was not in spells or potions, but in stories, in memory, in the quiet resilience of the human heart. As the final murmurs fade, the fire crackles low. The villagers begin to rise slowly, speaking good night in soft voices as they drift back to their homes. The night is calling, and rest is near. The gathering disperses gently, like embers drifting apart from a fire. One by one, villagers wrap themselves in cloaks, murmur soft good nights, and step into the cool embrace of the evening. The night has grown deeper, its darkness softened only by moonlight, and the warm spill of lanterns from cottage doorways. You rise quietly, your legs heavy from the day's long hours, your body humming with a tiredness that feels strangely welcome. Not draining, but grounding, earned. As you step outside, the air meets you with a cool whisper. The sky stretches wide overhead, awash with stars that shimmer like flecks of frost scattered across velvet. A soft breeze moves through the village paths, carrying with it the faint scents of smoke, wool, and freshly turned earth. You begin the slow walk back to your temporary home. Every sound seems amplified in the nighttime stillness. The distant bleat of a sheep settling in its pen, the gentle clatter of a loose shutter tapping against wood, the quiet thud of your own footsteps on the packed dirt path. The village feels both alive and asleep at once, breathing in a soft, rhythmic pulse beneath the moon. You pass the blacksmith's forge, now dark and resting after a long, fiery day. The lingering scent of iron hangs in the air like memory. You pass the grain mill, where the wheel sits silent, its long arm frozen mid-turn as if waiting for morning. You pass the healer's cottage, a faint herb scent drifting from the shutters, calming even at a distance. The world seems gentler at this hour, softer, more forgiving. And as you walk, you notice something subtle yet profound. Your footsteps fall into the same slow, steady rhythm as the village's heartbeat. The ache in your arms is no longer sharp. The stiffness in your back has eased beneath the moonlight. Your breath flows deeper, quieter. It feels as though the night itself is guiding you toward rest. A dog lifts its head as you pass, watching you with calm, sleepy eyes before curling back into its nest of straw. A lantern flickers behind a nearby window, illuminating the silhouette of someone preparing for sleep. The hush of the village wraps around you like a warm cloak. When you reach the small cottage where you've been staying, the door creaks softly as you push it open. Inside, the fire has dwindled to faint embers again, glowing a muted orange that pulses gently in the dimness. The family is already asleep, bundled in wool blankets, breaths slow and steady. You remove your cloak quietly, folding it over a wooden stool. The warmth of the room, though subtle, greets your cold fingers. The familiar scent of smoke, straw, and drying herbs settles over you in a comforting haze. Your straw mattress waits in its corner, unchanged, yet somehow more inviting than the night before. You ease yourself onto it, feeling the soft rustle beneath you. The day's fatigue melts down your limbs like warm wax. You pull the coarse wool blanket up to your chest, its weight grounding you immediately. For a moment, you simply lie there, listening. The wind hums gently against the cottage walls. A log shifts in the hearth with a soft crack. Someone sighs in their sleep. Everything feels still, but not silent, not empty. The village sleeps, but its presence surrounds you, steady and reassuring. Your eyelids grow heavy, your breath slows. The warmth of the blanket seeps into your bones. As you drift toward rest, you think of the stories shared tonight, of the lanterns carried by ancestors, of the quiet strength woven into every life here. You feel yourself becoming part of something older, something softer, something deeply human. And as the night folds itself around you, you surrender to its gentle pull. Sleep is close now, closer than it has ever been. The cottage is completely still. Only the faint glow of the dying embers cast a soft, pulsing light across the walls. Tiny breaths of orange and gold gently brightening and fading, like a heartbeat preparing for sleep. The air is cool, touched by the deep hush of night. Outside, the world lies in quiet surrender beneath a wide velvet sky. You sink deeper into your straw mattress, the coarse blanket cocooned around you. Every part of your body hums with the unmistakable echo of a long, labor-filled day. Your muscles ache, yes, but the discomfort is wrapped in something strangely comforting, the sense of having lived fully, honestly, without distraction. The family sleeps nearby, their breaths rising and falling in soft rhythm. The wind whispers faintly at the shutters. A distant night bird calls, then falls silent again. In the dimness, your thoughts drift, slow, steady, softened by exhaustion and the warmth of belonging. The medieval day you lived was unforgiving. Every task demanded your strength. Every moment required awareness. Every comfort was earned, never assumed. And yet, it was beautiful in ways your world has long forgotten. You learned the weight of water in your hands. You shaped iron with fire and effort. You planted seeds that will outlive you. You listened to stories shaped by centuries of hope and hardship. You shared meals not made for indulgence, but for survival and gratitude. You stood guard beneath a sky untouched by time. Somewhere along the way you realized why you wouldn't last a day in medieval times. Not because you're weak, but because this world asks for a different kind of strength, a constant, unwavering commitment to life's essentials, a resilience shaped not by comfort, but by necessity, a closeness to the land, to community, to survival itself. Your eyes grow heavier with each passing thought. But there is one final lesson, one that settles gently into your chest as sleep pulls you closer. Life here is hard, but it is also deeply connected. Every task connects you to the village. Every meal connects you to the land. Every story connects you to the past. Every breath connects you to the present moment. In this world, you are never alone. Your struggle is shared. Your burden is understood. Your presence, your effort matters. As the final ember dims into a soft glow, the room fades into darkness. Your breathing slows. Your thoughts dissolve like mist. And sleep rises around you, warm, heavy, peaceful. You surrender to it, wrapped in the silence of the medieval night, cradled by the faint scent of straw and wood smoke. You drift gently into dreams, a quiet ending to a hard-earned day. Thank you for journeying through this long, immersive story. Before you drift into your own night's rest, take a slow breath and let your thoughts settle like embers in a quiet hearth. If you enjoyed this atmospheric walk through medieval life, please remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, especially letting us know where you're watching from and what time of night you joined this story. Whether from the U.S., Europe, Canada, Asia, or anywhere in the world, your presence shapes this storytelling journey. Now, close your eyes, let the day fall away, and allow yourself to sink into peaceful sleep. Good night, traveler.